How do we show up for people we care about while also showing up for the kid that we used to be? Hey, it's Alex, and welcome back to This Is Fine, a Millennial Diary. We've been deep in Volume 5, love, sex, and relationships, and today's conversation is one of the most personal and honestly one of the most universal. We're talking about what it means to parent ourselves while we're loving other people. Because here's the truth. A lot of us grew up without the emotional tools we needed. We learned to keep quiet when we were hurt, to push through when we were burnt out, and to laugh off moments that actually broke us a little bit. Now, as adults, we're realizing, we're the ones who have to go back and take care of that younger version of ourselves. For me, I buy a lot of action figures. And the wild part is that we're doing that while also being partners, friends, sometimes parents to our own kids, or caretakers in our families. We're carrying the responsibility of two lives at once, our current one and the one we should have had. So let's talk about what that really looks like in love, in friendships, and even how we talk to ourselves. Man, listen, I don't know when it hits you exactly, but at some point you look around and realize, there's no more adulting me and coming to save me. I'm it. In our millennial experience, that moment usually comes after a breakup, a friendship ending, or some kind of burnout. It's like suddenly you're staring at yourself in the mirror and you see the tired, overworked, overstimulated grown-up. And then you catch a glimpse of the younger you underneath all of that. And you realize that kid is still there, still waiting for someone to listen, to make them feel safe, to tell them it's okay to rest. And now that someone has to be you. When we were growing up in the 90s, a lot of us didn't see examples of adults talking openly about feelings. If you were sad, you hear, cheer up, man. If you were anxious, you were told, don't overthink it. And if you were angry, you were being dramatic. Now, as partners and friends, we're learning to break that cycle, but it takes a ton of work. And it means we can't abandon that inner kid just because we're busy taking care of everyone else. Now, here's the tricky part. When you care about someone deeply, whether it's a romantic partner, a best friend, or a family member, it's easy to pour everything into them, right? You want to be their safe space, their cheerleader, their rock. But if you're not checking in with yourself, you can start running on empty without even noticing. You become so focused on being there for them that you forget to be there, for you. This is where reparenting comes in, right? It's setting boundaries, not because you don't care, but because you actually do. It's saying, I can't talk about heavy stuff tonight when you know you're tapped out. It's taking time for hobbies, for rest, for joy. Even if someone else wants more of you, then you have to give that day. In our 90s childhoods, right, we didn't really get examples of this balance. On TV, the good friend or good partner was the one who would drop everything for someone else. Think about shows like Boy Meets World or Full House. Problems always got solved by the one friend who showed up at the door no matter what. Sweet in theory, but in real life, man, that is a recipe for burnout. You see, growing up, we were basically absorbing relationship lessons from pop culture, from Corey and Topanga's all-consuming love story to the way Friends portrayed boundaries as something you joked about rather than enforced. It all gave us this idea that real love means being available 24/7. But those shows, man, they didn't show the cost of that. They didn't show what happens when you forget to take care of your own needs. They didn't talk about therapy, about burnout, about emotional regulation. Now, we're rewriting that entire script. And yeah, sometimes it feels selfish, especially if you were raised to believe that self-care is indulgent. But it's not selfish. Hell, it's survival. Now, here's where the generational differences show up, and I start showing my old age back in my day. See, we as millennials learn to internalize absolutely everything. We'd rather ghost our own needs than inconvenience someone else. We put others first because we were taught that was having good character. Now, Gen Z, Man, they are much quicker to protect their peace. They'll straight up say, I can't handle this conversation right now, or I need a mental health day, without worrying as much about whether it makes them look selfish. In a way, I admire that. They've normalized self-preservation in a way we had to learn the hard way. But on the flip side, we have the advantage of understanding long-term relational give and take. We know that sometimes you push through for the people you love as long as it's not costing you absolutely everything. The sweet spot, it's somewhere in the middle, right? Take Gen Z's unapologetic boundaries and mix them with our millennial loyalty and depth. That's where the healthiest love lives. Parenting yourself while loving others is about balance. It's about remembering that your inner child matters just as much as your partner, your friends, your family, etc. When you protect that kid inside of you, God, you're actually becoming better for the people around you because you're showing up as your whole self, not a drained, resentful version, right? So give yourself permission to rest, to set limits, to say no when you need to. Be the adult you need back then. And then love people from that place of wholeness. Because when you care for yourself, you're not taking away from others. You're giving them the best version of you. And speaking of the best version of you, sometimes that version isn't the one in a romantic relationship at all. Sometimes it's the one surrounded by friends who feel like family, who know you better than anyone, who carry you through the worst and cheer you on when you need to be. That's where we're going next. In episode 49, we're celebrating when friends are soulmates. We're going to talk about those platonic bonds that hit just as deep as romantic ones, the friendships that last decades, and why they might just be the greatest love stories we'll ever live. So, make sure you're subscribed, share this episode with someone who needs it, and as always, you can find all the links at alexiscardoza.com. I'll leave you with this. Remember, give yourself grace. And this is fine.
Goodbye.